I'm not sure if it's the same with every woman whose husband tells her that he is divorcing her or not, but for me, on the day my husband told me that he was divorcing me, it was as if my mind began to explode with all of the different realizations of so many things from our life. I started thinking about all the things he had been doing for the past 2 years or so, and I realized that they had been in preparation for the divorce, and it caused a deep ache in me. We had lived in our home for 16 plus years. It's a simple but good home out in the country on a little over 5 acres. It was my dream to raise my boys in the country, and I felt blessed to be able to do it. I have 2 inside dogs, a little Chorky that I got after my breast cancer diagnosis, and a robust little Chihuahua mix that we got to be his buddy a few years later. I never in my life thought that I would have 2 small inside dogs. I have always been an outside dog person, big outside dogs. But these little dogs have changed my life completely and gotten me through some tough times, and they still are. There is nothing like a wee little dog to distract you, whether it's a mastectomy or a divorce. A big yellow lab named Bella rules over the outside yard, and she is my bosom buddy. She is right by my side no matter where I am in the yard. A tiny little bunny named Cornelia sits in a fancy hutch not far from our house, and she is my youngest son's bunny, but every person in the family loves her. Next to her is a chicken yard with a fantastic coop that houses 5 chickens, 3 blue Astrolort hens named Henny, Penny, and Jenny, a Polish hen named Polish Polly, and a beautiful silky rooster named Silky Sam. The hens rule the roost. In our lower pasture is my sweet Willow. She is a little pygmy goat that I couldn't wait to get when I first moved to our property. And joining her is my Nubian goat named Charlotte, Charlie for short. Any sound I make in our yard brings them running to me in search of grain or some other treat. If you want to brighten your day, watch goats running across the pasture to you. Things don't feel quite so bright on the days that Charlie screams out like a human across the pasture, but that's a story for another day. Rounding out the animal kingdom at our home are 2 betta fishes sitting in tanks in our living room. Up until a couple years ago, our yard was quite plain and simple, full of weedy grass and a wooden deck off our sliding door that had become a danger to walk on. But then all of a sudden, my husband began working around our home. I was so excited to watch everything transform. He built an outside storage barn area that we'd never had before, and then a large patio was put in. A beautiful patio covering followed. I felt so spoiled. No more tables with umbrellas blowing away in the wind for me. Our large patio side yard was rocked and landscaped with multiple plants. I had helped to choose those plants, to put the areas that were sun, shade. I looked into what would be native or invasive. When I look back on those moments now, I wonder what my husband was thinking as he watched me participate in getting my house ready to sell in the divorce. I feel embarrassed at my blissful ignorance. I thought I was experiencing a blessing. I had no idea of the bad intentions behind what was going on. Finally, in my 50s, I was watching my yard become something so beautiful to walk around in and enjoy. Maybe not fancy by other people's standards, but lovely to me. My husband painted the outside of our house, and he put in new double doors with etched glass. I was so excited when he had his old truck hauled away after all those years of sitting in our yard like a yard sculpture. I added a small garden, hung up bird houses, put in a bird bath, and my yard became alive. I never thought I would live in such beauty. I thought that maybe this was what it was like to get older, have your children start leaving the nest, and finally start finding the time to have these kinds of things take shape at your home. To me, it was the most beautiful place I had ever lived. Veggie plants, fruit plants, and flowers surrounded our house. Birds, bees, and insects of all sorts were living the high life. In addition to our domesticated animals, we had wild animals all around our yard: rabbits, squirrels, raccoons, deer, turkeys, possums, so many beautiful creatures. We had fresh chicken eggs, fruits, and veggies, and we just got to enjoy the beauty of nature. My heart was full every day when I walked around watering, filling bird feeders, and battling with the squirrels for the things in my garden. This was the first time I had ever gotten to have something like this. I was in heaven. I did not take it for granted. I knew that not everybody got to experience this type of life. I felt blessed to live amongst all of it. I remembered the day I showed my new yard to my sister with a big smile on my face as I walked her around, showing her everything. Looking back on that moment now, I am so embarrassed that I didn't have a clue what was really behind all the wonderful improvements. Everything had been done to get my home ready to sell. The realization of all of this, the day that my husband told me that he was divorcing me, was almost more than I could bear. In an instant, the joy of my home was sucked out of me. In an instant, I didn't want to look at any of it anymore.